Title says it all, baby. God of War to PC. So I feel like Sony is kind of porting all of their major AAA I'm a big PlayStation game to PC, which is cool. This seems like a good pattern to be had. So option of true 4K resolution, unlocked frame rates, a wide range of graphical presets and options so you can fine-tune your visual experience. So they said there's also going to be full integration with NVIDIA deep learning super sampling, which is available on RTX. I don't actually know what that means, but it says you won't have to sacrifice high graphical settings and output resolutions for high performance. So you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too. You know how normally there's like a performance mode and then there's like a high graphics mode? Since it would have DLSS, you'd be able to do both, it sounds like. They're also going to have NVIDIA Reflex low latency technology. This delivers a more responsive experience, which allows you to react quicker and hit combos harder. Fully able to customize bindings. You could also play with controller, DualShock 4, and DualSense. So, again, that is coming on January 14th. Heyo. I know I read that whole thing, like I was like not excited. I don't know that I'm overly excited or not excited, but I just am, my throat hurts, and so I'm not overly emoting. Sorry. Okay, next up is CD Projekt Red. As you may or may not remember, Cyberpunk is going to have like a full next-gen port. And that was supposed to come out, I think it was like Q3 or 4 of this year. And so they basically put out a press release that says that they are updating the schedule for next gen releases of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk and The Witcher for next gen consoles, Xbox Series and PlayStation 5, based on recommendations supplied by, people supervising. They need additional time. And so the next gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the first quarter of 2022, and the next gen version of The Witcher 3 is going to be the second quarter of 2022. I mean, I've always said it before. I think that's like the right call, right? Is like, if your game isn't ready, don't like force it out and have a bunch of bugs. Just kind of what Cyberpunk did the first time. And I've always maintained that I think it's really unfortunate whether or not Cyberpunk 2077 is the game that they promised when it's working or not. I think that this next gen launch is like another, almost like, obviously it's a publicity wave, it's another wave to get people re-interested in this game, and so it has to work perfectly. It cannot not work. Cannot stress that enough. It cannot not work. So I feel like it makes sense that they push it. But also at this point, and I don't know about you guys, but it's like Cyberpunk obviously had this really big moment in games and everybody was like, holy shit. Now I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't want to say over it, but sure. Has the DLC been canceled for Cyberpunk? That's a good question. I don't know that it said anything about it, but I was kind of just skimming it. Let me check. There was an update on Cyberpunk DLC I feel like I just saw. Says we are also waiting for a bunch of free DLC that also was supposed to arrive this year. But the rest of the free DLC, which like New Game Plus, we don't know. They didn't give an update on like the timeline that they released. So long story short, we don't have updates on that. I'm excited.
Since the beginning, Halo was about Master Chief and
badass.
We have a new mission.
You guys, the music in this just so good.
A weapon? How many guns do you need?
I saw on Twitter that reaction was generally positive. I mean, we already know the world looks really... Look at those little birdies. The music's so good. Oh my gosh, you guys.
In the biggest campaign to date, Halo Infinite invites players
biggest
to
campaign
become
to date.
Master Chief and discover true Spartan freedom in the most wide open and adventure-filled
I really
experience yet.
liked the vehicle play in the beta.
Chief won't be alone on the journey. His first mission
Felt good.
is to retrieve a new AI, codenamed the Weapon.
It's been 6 months. Where have you been?
Following the events of Halo 5, Master Chief
I like the
is searching
updated
for the answer to a
outfit.
troubling question. What happened to Cortana?
Because wasn't Cortana always
Created to lock
like
down
naked?
Cortana, but I don't know why.
I also wish it had day one co-op.
And at every turn, the Banished are hunting Master Chief and the remnants of the UNSC.
If I'm honest, I didn't play Halo 5, so Halo 5's campaign, so I'm a little lost on the story, but we'll get there. Felt like a Gears of War character running at you. Those enemies look so chunky compared to... They look like Cabal from Destiny.
You're safe now.
It's fun to see them use the equipment in ways that I definitely was not during the beta.
Incoming.
That thing seems like it takes quite a bit of damage.
Players now have
Oh.
more freedom than ever before to take
Okay.
down the Banished any way they choose.
Ha 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 ha. Okay. Interesting. So you can upgrade fob, targets, database, TAC map. Okay. I'm glad that I'm seeing all this after already playing the beta, because while it is still a beta, I feel like I would be much more concerned with like, okay, how does this balance in multiplayer if I hadn't already played it?
Useful, if you like that kind of thing.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, I like it.
Defying the odds to take down the Banished,
Holy shit, that's cool.
piece by piece.
Oh, sorry.
This won't be an easy fight.
The Forerunner's lies are at an end.
I'm so lost where we are in the Halo story. Halo 4 was the last one that I played
Not the future.
for campaign. I played
Exploring
Halo
this
5's
vast
multiplayer,
and
so good.
fractured world will put Spartan 117 to the ultimate test.
It does feel especially
Welcome to
cinematic.
the new era of Halo.
It's also interesting, like, welcome to the new era of Halo, when this theoretically is the end of a trilogy.
It kind of seems like it.
The messaging on this feels like a reboot versus the end of a trilogy. But I don't know, I'm really into it. I like it. I think this looks dope. I think okay, wait, let's just like scroll through this a little bit. Definitely has more RPG elements than I'm used to expecting from a Halo. Like, this is kind of the first time we see the menu. And you can see there's like the map, there's area collectibles, fast travel. I'm excited. I think that this is a good sign. I mean, at the end of the day, it's either going to be good or it won't, but it feels like adopting kind of popular, what would the word be? Like popular things that people come to expect from story modes, like campaigns and games, that's a good first step, I feel. This is cool. This feels like it's going to align a little bit better. So I started replaying Halo 1's campaign, Combat Evolved, and I feel like I was a little taken back because when you're playing games in 2020, 2021, you kind of forget how far we have come from 2001. And I feel like watching this campaign reveal, it feels like what my brain thought Halo was before I went back and played it and realized what it actually was at the time, if that makes sense. There is no co-op at launch. I'm not sure when the release is for that. Let's see. There we go. Co-op 3 months later, Forge 6 months. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I don't want to spend too much on it because I just want to be not necessarily like surprised, but I feel like I saw what I need to, and I think it looks really exciting and cool. This is kind of the part where you can upgrade things, which is cool. Where is it? I do think it's interesting because in the, let's see. There's grapple shot, shield core, threat sensor, drop wall, and thruster. There's no thrust in the multiplayer, at least not what was in the beta. So that's interesting to see that back here, though. This is cool. I also really liked that in the beta, how you could activate active camo or overshield, whereas in previous games, once you like stepped over it, it would automatically activate. I thought that was cool. And it seems like there's very heavy use of the grapple hook, to do various things, which I think is interesting. And I'm curious if that's more of a playstyle thing or if it's going to be pretty required to master in order to like have a good time playing the campaign. Yeah, the map does feel very I mean, I've only played a little bit of Far Cry, but it does feel similar to that. I think also since I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima right now, it also feels kind of like that because you're literally working through the map and liberating areas of it. Pretty fucking excited. December 8th. Mark your calendars. I will agree though that if you aren't keeping up with Halo news, and I think because I'm so in it, it's very easy to forget that there's a lot of people who love Halo that aren't, you know, checking the news. Like even my dad is a great example because he's somebody who loves video games. He plays them regularly, but he's not like going to IGN or Polygon or Kotaku or whoever, fill in the blank, to like check up on their gaming news, right? And so I do think it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is for those who have not already found out that Forge and Co-op will not launch with Infinite. And I think it's an interesting choice. I mean, I understand, and obviously it's much more complicated than just picking a date, right? There's shareholders, there's a lot of things involved to recoup the massive investment that they have in making this game, right? I don't know how accurate that is to say that that is a driving force to the release date, but you know, at a certain point, a game needs to come out, right? I do wonder why they didn't just hold it for when Forge and Co-op are ready to launch, mostly because I feel like those are so integral to Halo, is like Forge and like campaign co-op. So I don't know, I really hope that this blows everybody out of the water. I hope that it's like a new Halo renaissance. I think that I don't know how much the younger generation cares. When you think of the success of a game like Fortnite, I think a lot of its success came from a lot of different places, but it captivated that like young audience, right? And I just don't know that Halo is as appealing to that audience, if they even care that there's a new Halo coming out, or if this is more kind of bringing together all of those people like myself and like a lot of you in chat who grew up on Halo, and there's that nostalgia element that's kind of driving our interest. I kind of think it's a mistake to release only the campaign right now. Yeah, I think that I'm curious why you wouldn't just do multiplayer and then have campaign with I mean, the thing is, ultimately, if you're in a position where you can't release your game in full, you're always going to disappoint somebody with breaking up the release, right? But I don't know. I do think it's interesting not to just let multiplayer have a moment, let campaign have a moment. And I'm talking like full campaign co-op. And I think any other game, I wouldn't see such a big potential issue. But I think because Halo is so synonymous with couch co-op and with split screen, and just general campaign co-op, it does feel a little weird for that to be missing. So Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, is coming out November 11th, pretty quickly, for $60, $59.99 USD. And so if you guys need a refresher, the 3 remasters, and the remasters, not remakes, are going to be GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas. They are, according to IGN, created for modern platforms in Unreal Engine by Grove Street Games. And the trilogy is initially coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via the Rockstar Games launcher. I was mistaken. It'll be digitally released on November 11th and physically released on December 7th. And IGN has this note which says, while not confirmed at the time of writing, the games will potentially be released individually as well as part of a collection. San Andreas, the definitive edition, will launch into Xbox Game Pass on November 11th, while GTA 3, the definitive edition, will be added to PlayStation Now on December 7th. I always love these graphics comparisons. That's pretty amazing, the difference when it's just a remake. The reflections on the surfaces, it's cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm noticing the reflections the most, which is cool. But I've talked about this before. It feels like it doesn't change that it might still feel clunky. And I say this as somebody who came into the franchise at GTA 5, so I'm like very late to the train. And hoping that these are fun to play because I haven't been able to play them. But it is interesting to, like, I don't know, hopefully it plays. It does look really blocky. Like, this looks pretty good. But everybody, this looks very blocky.
I'm glad to see things back the way they used to be.
And still the people, while the surroundings I feel look better, the actual people do look, I mean, they do look blocky, right? And like kind of devoid of realistic emotion. But I guess you could argue that it looks kind of like stylized, like a stylized art. Again, this is a remake, so we weren't expecting it to all of a sudden be hyper realistic, right? Rockstar says the games come with a completely rebuilt lighting system, improved shadows, weather, and reflections. I feel like that was very apparent. Upgraded character and vehicle models, along with newer high-resolution textures across buildings, weapons, roads, interiors, and more. They also said, this is interesting to me and I feel important, that Rockstar has explained, again, this is IGN reporting, that all 3 games also feature quality of life improvements such as updated controls inspired by GTA 5, quote, improvements to targeting and lock-on aiming, updated weapon and radio station wheels, updated mini-maps with enhanced navigation, allowing players to set waypoints to destinations, updated achievements, trophies, and more. So you'll be able to immediately restart a failed mission, cutting out major points of frustration from the originals. And finally, we're going to top off talking about today's gaming news with something a little bit sadder, which is that Halo 3's original servers are shutting down along with the rest of the series on Xbox 360. I feel like it's more of just, it's saddening because it marks like end of an era sort of a thing. And we do have Master Chief Collection. But as reported by IGN, 343 Industries has revealed the date. It will be January 13th, 2022. Way back in December of last year, the studio announced that the servers would shut down. And now it has a date. In their statement, it says, quote, to date, we've juggled future-facing work and priorities with continued upkeep of Halo's Xbox 360 legacy services. Maintaining these legacy services today requires significant time and resources, which directly impacts the studio's ability to support current and future projects like Halo, the Master Chief Collection, and Halo Infinite. So it makes sense that they're shutting it down a little bit over a month after Halo Infinite launches. The following games affected include Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo Wars, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and Spartan Assault. It says, while the multiplayer functions of these games will be limited following the server closures in January, the games will remain playable offline. Like I said, I think it's more of what it signifies than anything that makes it sad.